Hello there, people of the internet. Boy, that wind sure feels good. I tell you what, it's hot out here, but I bet it's probably not very good for the audio. So let's go ahead and talk about something that was brought up not too terribly long ago, and I might have made a video about this a long time ago, but I don't think I have, at least not necessarily in this context. So normally with my platforms that I run, I'm sure a lot of you who pay attention to the channel, what was that? Are you guys okay over here? Anyone who pays attention to the channel, I'll have to watch the video to see what that was. Anyone who pays attention to the video or the channel, they know that for my primary, I run a 5.56 rifle. Now I have several rifles chambered in 5.56, and why I have so many is, because 2 is 1, 1 is none. In case something goes down or I need a replacement or whatever. Or if I have, and I am very, very, very much expecting to have, if I have people show up and who are unequipped and needing some sort of defensive capability, these are people that I really wish that they would prepare more for themselves. But they're people that I also trust and that I care about. So even if they show up with nothing, these specific people, these specific individuals that I'm fully expecting to show up, I would provide with some sort of firearm, and so we would all be running 5.56. Now, this is where the speculation comes in. This is where the ideology of having a 5.56, God, where did that wind go? It is hot now. The idea of having that 5.56 is a fantastic idea until 5.56 becomes unavailable, or until 5.56 is not the best option on the market, or until the 5.56 rifles that we're using end up in a boating accident or something like that. Like some sort of situation to where we can no longer actively, openly use our 5.56 rifles. And, we saw a lack of ammo availability during all the panic buying and whatnot that happened in the past couple of years, to where you literally could not find 223 5.56 anywhere. Give me just a minute, got something crawling on me. But you literally couldn't find it anywhere. But you could find 7.62 by 39 pretty availably, like everywhere, because that was not a primary cartridge that people were going after. Personally, for most of your situations, I believe that 7.62 by 39 is absolutely adequate for most people, because most people aren't going to be shooting at long distances, and most people aren't going to be carrying massive numbers of like combat loads and things like that. For the most part, most people aren't going to touch out beyond 400 yards, which is where 7.62 by 39 really shines. So 7.62 by 39 is going to be adequate enough for most people. So although my primary is my 5.56 platforms with my 5.56 equipment, I've got I've got probably 7 or 8 rifles chambered in 5.56, I think. Yeah, so somewhere around that number. But I've got several firearms chambered in 5.56 to where if I get myself a bunch of people, I can actively equip basically an entire squad with a 5.56 platform, and we're all running the same platform with the same magazines and same ammunition type and same etc. etc. However, if something happens that the 5.56 isn't going to work out, then if all I had was those 5.56 rifles, I'd kind of be SOL, which is why I also have 5 different rifles that are all chambered for 7.62 by 39. Because if we get a repeat of what we saw before, where 223 5.56 is just non-existent across the board, then guess what? If something does go down, I can get my hands on some 7.62 by 39 for significantly less money, and it's much more available, and I've already got a bunch of rifles to be able to equip a squad with. So although I have heard some controversy about me doing things like this, I have had people tell me instead of investing money and time and resources into 7.62 by 39 rifles that you would not use as your primary system, you should invest more into your 5.56 stuff, like stockpiling more ammo, or getting reloading supplies, or getting mags or accessories, or even more rifles, or etc. etc. But I personally think that the route of going the 7.62 by 39 as a secondary platform with a secondary ammunition type was the better way to go, rather than just get more 5.56 stuff. Because if something happens and that 5.56 stuff does inevitably run out, which it will run out, the odds of me being able to get 7.62 by 39 would still be quite high. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be 7.62 by 39. I mean, insert your choice of options here. I've got I've got like 5 7.62 by 54 rimmed rifles that I could equip a squad with, or I've got, I don't know, a dozen or so 8mm Mauser rifles I could equip quite a bit of people with. I've got, I think those are my primaries, like whenever it comes to equipping people with a bunch of the same kind of caliber. I know I got a bunch of 6.5 Carcano rifles, like probably about half a dozen or so of those that I could equip a bunch of people with. The ammunition for that one might be a little on the sketchy side, and it might be a little hard to find, so not necessarily ideal for that. But the bottom line is I have a bunch of rifles in the same caliber, so if I manage to get my hands on a particular kind of ammunition, then I likely have a rifle chambered for that ammo that I could equip several people with to be able to send them out. I know for 308 rifles, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 different 308 rifles that I could go ahead and equip a bunch of people with. So if all we found was some 308 hunting ammo at whatever it is that we were at, or wherever it is that we're going, or, you know, insert your choice of situation here. If all we find is some 308 hunting ammo, then guess what? We can use those 308 rounds in my 5 308 rifles. So we have a platform to be able to run that ammunition. So although, yes, I'm spending more money and resources on things that are not the primary is already very well set up and has a decent stockpile. And having secondary things to be able to get utilized if the primary no longer becomes a viable option, I think that there is a very valuable and underlooked prospect. A lot of people will look at their primary situation and they're like, all right, we're running 5.56. Me and my friends are running 5.56, so we're going to invest all of our time and resources and whatnot into 5.56. And then we find ourselves in a situation where 5.56 is completely unavailable, and then you got people scourging around trying to figure out, you know, hey, what else can I do? Meanwhile, I'm over here with like rifles with 50 different chamberings to where I can be like, oh, guess what? I found this box of 7.5 Swiss. Well, I've got 3 different rifles in 7.5 Swiss, so let's go ahead and take this box and get ourselves a good defensive loading to where we all have something to be able to do whatever it is that we decide to do with that ammunition. It's just a good concept. Not only that, but I know with 5.56, that's a 223 caliber projectile. You could load those with 22 long rifle bullets. You kind of get into some questionable territory with that, and it definitely would not cycle very well. You would probably have to single load your rifle, but that's a discussion for another time. But you could load those with 22 long rifle bullets, which are absolutely all over the place, or 223 diameter projectiles, or 224. Those are also all over the place. Or 7.62 by 39, that's a 30 caliber projectile. You could load those with 308 diameter bullets if you really needed to. They wouldn't really engage all that well. They'd be a little inaccurate, but if you really needed to, you could. Or you could reload those with your 311, 312 diameter projectiles that you would find for X amount of other situations. It's just good to have the options of those different calibers on standby if you find yourself in a situation where you cannot get stuff for your primary. And that's one of the main reasons why I keep so many different kinds of rifles and kinds of calibers. Like I said, I did talk about this before, but I keep multiple of the same kind of system, and I invest into other systems that are not my primary. Like if I have something in, say, 5.56 here, this is my Ruger Mini 14. I don't have any rounds for it, but if I have something in, say, 5.56 here, and everybody around me has 5.56, and well, guess what? We had a good range day, or something happened, and we had to burn through a bunch of 5.56 and whatnot. Well, now our 5.56 cache is depleting. But guess what? Old Joe Blow over here traded off with old Bubba with his SKS and a bunch of Com Block 7.62 by 39. He traded for a box of cigars. because it's just some guy living in the woods and he had a bunch of 7.62 by 39. So now we have the much less desirable 7.62 by 39, which is still going to be incredibly capable. I have some loaded into this SKS. Not necessarily the greatest of modern platforms, but I would not feel underpowered with an SKS at least. I'm going to send a couple of rounds at our drill down there. There's one, two, there's three. Oh, I guess I had more than 3 rounds in this. Yep, I guess I had 4 in this. Fantastic. But yeah, if all you got, or if all you can find is a certain kind of ammunition, and you don't have a rifle for that ammunition, then you're kind of not doing all that great. It's a good philosophy to have. I mean, I really like the idea of like, hey, if I come across a bunch of surplus 8mm Mauser, I get a bunch of Mausers. I can start handing them out. Like, here you go, grab this. Here's a bandolier of ammo. Or if I come across a bunch of 7.62 by 39 or 303 Brit or 7.62 by 54 rimmed, insert your choice of whatever it is I come across. I have the stuff to be able to run it. And even if I don't have the stuff to be able to run it, odds are I have the capacity to be able to make the ammunition from components that would be readily available and easy to find. I could make ammunition to be able to load those platforms. Thanks for watching, folks. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I'll see you all in the next episode. I got the hiccups. I'm tired. It's hot. I'm going to go hydrate. I'll see y'all later. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. Shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.